Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. This week we're back with some Schranz. I'm gonna show you a framework to make your Schranz kick. We're gonna go through some 150 to 160 BPM kicks. I'm gonna show you some more clean sound to more dirty Schranz kick. Be sure to know that you can get for free a project file with all of the processing that I'm gonna show you. So you can use it to make your own kicks with your samples. And you can get also for free a sample pack with 30 Schranz kick like this. Thank you so much already for supporting the channel, for liking, subscribing, commenting the channel, and here we go. So before we begin, just want to let you know that this is one way of making Schranz kick. There's an infinite way. There's actually no rule in music production, but this is my way and this is a method that I will show you. So of course, I'm going to use lots of group processing, lots of layers as I usually do. I'm going to guide you through all of these steps. To start off, we're going to start with this 150 Schranz kick. So for this one, I've been using 3 different layers. I have my rumble kick, I have a top kick, and I have a Schranz loop. So of course, on each of these steps, I'm going to use lots of processing, and especially at the end, I have some group processing, which is really important. It's just really like beefing it up. Clip limiting, lots of saturation, distortion. So for now, I'm going to withdraw this and we're going to get first through the rumble kick. So without the group processing, we start off with a main kick layer. So what I usually do is I take something very clean. So the Vengeance Trancy kicks are really useful for that. So this is really like no layer, just a kick like this, very clean. I'm going to use this as it is and I'm going to add rumble layers. So I will have, as usual, a low rumble, a high rumble, and some 16 patterns rumble. So what I do for the low rumble is I take the main sample, I make it go through a 100% convolution reverb in standard mode. I'm gonna sidechain it. I'm gonna make sure it's very saturated. So this time using the hard curve saturator, but basically you can use any kind of distortion. You can also use the amp in bass mode or heavy or rock mode. This is usually working. So what I get from this is really something very compressed, very saturated here. This is what I want for rumble. It's really like a mass of noise. And I'm gonna just isolate to get only the low end and the low mids. So I'm gonna put this EQ and I'm gonna enhance this with an OTT. So you can get this for free from Xfer. So this is just to boost a little bit. I'm gonna use a lot this OTT in the other layers. So I'm gonna just duplicate this channel to get the high rumble, but this time I'm just isolating the higher frequencies. So here the high mids, low mids, and the high frequencies. And we're gonna choose after what we want to get from this rumble and this high rumble by just locating like this the frequency cut. And to get a bit more of that Schranz like rolling feeling underneath, I'm gonna take this sample, I'm gonna put it here, so withdrawing the transient, and just to get without the click here, I'm gonna also fade the end of the sample, just duplicate it like this to get that pattern, and keep the convolution reverb like halfway through, some sidechain. So we're gonna get also the sidechain moving if you want to get something different after, and again EQing and creating a resonancy here around 100 Hertz. And finally the OTT that we have. So with this I have something full, but now it needs to be boosted a lot. So what I do is first I put the gain just a bit lower because I'm gonna boost it after with the saturation. And so I'm gonna put first a soft sine saturator here to first start and boost it a bit. I'm using the Oxford inflator, so I'm gonna use it a lot in my next tutorials because this is something very useful. It's actually kind of an exciter. It boosts the harmonics. I think there's something similar in Trash. If you don't have the Oxford inflator, it's this setup delicate harmonics. So this is something that you can use. And you can also use this kind of inflator, which is an emulation of the Oxford inflator. It's called JS inflator and it's for free. And you can look for it on Google and get it. And you'll get a similar effect. After that, I make sure everything is in mono in the subs. And then I'm gonna boost it. So for this, I'm using the decapitator to already bring some grain and to saturate it. You can use any kind of saturator. Again, you can use also the Ableton one or the amp or whatever. It's just a matter of grain. And then normally I'm kind of EQing to get a bit more body, a bit more punch, and making sure I have something I like. So this is my basis layer for the rumble kick. And on top of that, I'm gonna add a top kick. So this time I'm using these free top kick layers that you can get from Graveyard Sounds. So they have lots of free top kicks like this, but you can make also your top kicks if you want. You can take like any kick. For instance, if I take a clubby kick, I can just put a MIDI pattern here, drawing my kick. I'm gonna withdraw everything in that frequency and I'm gonna just put down the decay. And there you go, you have some kind of top kick. And you can use like any kick to create, for instance, something. And it works also. So it's just a different, more mid transient here for this one. And I'm gonna EQ this because usually I don't want the very high end for this top kick. And finally, I'm gonna make a Schranz loop. So what I do for the Schranz loop is you need any kind of top loop that you can get from sample packs. So really like look for top loops. Usually what works better is some high frequency top loops. So something that is not so in the mid range, not with so much perk. So already you see I withdraw some mid frequencies and I'm boosting the high end. And you can use also the Vengeance kind of loops like this. You can create even some of your own patterns. For instance, I could make this. And what's important here is you can play with the EQ to create some resonances. And what will make the Schranz loop work is really compression to get something that's very distorted. So what you can do here is first adding a brute compression. So this is preset from Ableton, from the compressor. So you see already it's making something even more noisy and you have like a constant noise. It fills up the frequency spectrum and the whole kick. And I'm gonna distort it after. So you can use, for instance, Camel Crusher, which is free. And you can try different presets. And then you're just gonna EQ and sidechain. So for this one, I'm sidechain like this, but you can have like a shorter sidechain. So for instance, this one. And what you can do also is play with the shifter to get some more noise. So you can use different coarse pitch here. So I'm using here the frequency, but you can use also the pitch. I think it's more effective here. And then the magic will work when you're gonna add at the end the group processing. So what I do is adding some clip limiting, some inflator, some OTT, and some distortion. So again, I'm trying to show you some different plugins that you can use. So for instance, this one is free. It's Distortion. You can use also Camel Crusher. You can use the amp. You can use the Ableton one. You can use also the KHS saturation. This one is free also. So really, like, it's not a matter of having a paid plugin. It's just that sometimes I prefer some grains. For instance, here you can use Distortion. So I'm just adding a bit of hard clip and soft clip. I'm using Decapitator here also. So very slight because I don't want to get too saturated, because I'm going to do lots of dynamic and it's going to be too compressed. And then the final touch is just boosting a bit with that OTT, the inflator, and finally some clip limiting, which is really important to get something that's very fat. And then starting from that, you have your Schranz kick, and you can make lots of different tweaks to get something you prefer. So I'm gonna go through the rumble kick. For instance, I can change the way it resonates, especially in the rumble part. If I want something more narrow, I can change the top kick here. So for instance, I want something more clicky. I can change that. I can change also the Schranz loop. So I can change the chords like this. I can change the pitch here. I can change the way it resonates. So I can, for instance, before the saturation, put here an Akkya. I can change the loop also. So trying different top loops. Let's try this one. I can change this one also. So of course this is so compressed that it all sounds the same. So what you're gonna do is change the shifter here. So you can go back without it, for instance. You can also change it. And yeah, so there's lots of ways to get something different. You can also change here the kind of saturation. If I want something more clean. And yeah, so there are lots of ways to get some different Schranz kick. Of course, you can also change the kick. If I want something different, let's try this one. You can just change here the sample. And you get something instantly different. You can also choose to put an Akkya on the main kick to have something less clicky. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So this is one way to see it. You have also, you can use a faster BPM. It's going to change also the way it resonates because the samples of the kick is going to be played faster. So you get more resonancy, higher in the low end. So for instance, I make this one. So this is all the same parameters, just that here I'm gonna use a MIDI rack and I'm gonna add even more saturation on the rumble kick. So this is the rumble kick here that I made here for this first channel, this first kick. I used an audio effect track, so I made the dry channel, the rumble low, rumble high with the same effects, and then the group processing here. It's just that I add another group processing on top here on the rumble kick. It's gonna add even more saturation. I'm also using a different top kick, so you can see you can use any kind of top kick, and I'm gonna use also some Schranz loop that I have from a sample pack that are pre-made, so it's already something very nasty and it adds even more grain. To do this kind of loop, you can easily make this. You just put like 4 or 7 layers of top loop. You put some group compression, some camel crusher, lots of saturation, and you can get something very nasty. So you see, without the processing, it's already very saturated. And here it's even more enhanced by that group compression. What I do also is I can use a gate. So you can use like this kind of gate. You can use an impact, for instance, to make this. And there you go, you have a gate. So it's another way to add even more speed and offbeat groove. And another way to make a variation and to add another feeling to your kick is having one very super compressed top loop, like this one. Actually, it's almost only some noise. Like you can't even hear the different loops, the different drums underneath. It's almost like a white noise, but it brings something very full and it gives some speed and some groove to the offbeat. And then you can have a top loop or a Schranz loop that is without any compression. And it's gonna add even more saturation and it's gonna like pop out of the kick. And you can see here, I just use a different kick loop. I'm also playing here with the pitch. You can play with the pitch here to make variation, and you can play also with the gain. So for this one, I've used a higher gain for the difference, so it creates a kind of velocity. So you see, it creates also a groove. And this is also what I do here for the last one. So separate top loop, different rumble kick, different offbeats. And yeah, really like you can make some nasty kind of Schranz kick. So I think that's pretty much it for this tutorial, guys. I hope you like it. Leave a comment below if you have some questions or if you want to thank me supporting the channel. And thank you so much, guys. See you in the next one.